Emily Carter stood outside the snow-covered church with nothing except a worn suitcase and a desperate heart. Her late sister's final letter led her across the Wyoming frontier to Jacob Hayes, a widowed rancher raising 3 young children alone. With winter closing in, Emily gathered enough courage to knock gently on his weathered front door before sunset. Jacob opened the door cautiously, expecting another traveling salesman or someone asking for shelter. Instead, he found a tired young woman shivering beneath a threadbare coat. Looking directly into his eyes, Emily whispered softly, "Let me stay. I'll raise your kids." Her unexpected request left everyone inside the quiet ranch house completely speechless with surprise. Jacob had buried his wife only 18 months earlier after a deadly illness swept through the valley. Since then, every sunrise became another struggle between raising children and saving the ranch. His oldest daughter cooked meals, his youngest son cried every night, and unpaid bills continued piling across the kitchen table without mercy. Emily explained that her sister had been Jacob's wife's closest childhood friend. Before passing away, she had written a heartfelt letter asking Emily to help the grieving family if they ever needed someone. Emily had lost her own parents years earlier and understood loneliness better than anyone. She expected nothing except honest work and shelter. Jacob remained uncertain because trusting strangers could destroy everything he still possessed. Yet his children watched Emily with hopeful eyes instead of fear. She gently smiled, prepared supper using the little food available, and somehow filled the silent dining room with warmth. For the first time in months, laughter returned around the dinner table naturally. The following morning, Emily woke before sunrise, swept every floor, prepared breakfast, milked the cows, and packed lunches before Jacob saddled his horses. She worked tirelessly without complaints, treating every responsibility like a privilege instead of a burden. Even stubborn ranch hands quietly admitted the household suddenly felt alive again after her unexpected arrival. Jacob's youngest son, Tommy, refused speaking to anyone after losing his mother. Emily never forced conversations. Instead, she patiently carved wooden animals beside him each evening until curiosity slowly replaced grief. One night, Tommy finally whispered, "Will you still be here tomorrow?" Emily smiled gently before promising she would never abandon him willingly. As winter deepened, neighboring ranchers warned everyone about an enormous blizzard forming beyond the northern mountains. Experienced cowboys hurriedly repaired barns, secured livestock, and gathered supplies. Emily carefully organized blankets, lanterns, food stores, and medicine while encouraging Jacob to prepare earlier than usual. Her calm determination impressed everyone working beside her throughout the busy week. Jacob secretly wondered why Emily understood storms so well. She eventually revealed her father had been a mountain guide who taught survival from childhood. She knew how blizzards trapped families, destroyed barns, and stole lives within hours. Those painful memories pushed her to prepare carefully whenever dark clouds gathered above distant snow-covered peaks. The sky darkened unexpectedly before dawn, and freezing winds screamed across the valley with frightening force. Snow covered fences within minutes, while frightened horses kicked wildly inside crowded stables. Ranch hands became separated trying to rescue cattle. Emily quickly gathered Jacob's frightened children into the safest room before reinforcing every window using heavy wooden boards. Jacob rode toward the western pasture, searching desperately for missing cattle despite worsening visibility. Suddenly, his horse stumbled beneath deep snow, throwing him onto frozen ground. Injured and alone, he realized returning home before darkness seemed impossible. Every passing minute increased the danger as relentless winds erased every familiar trail leading back toward the ranch. Back at the house, Emily noticed Jacob's horse returning without its rider. Fear gripped everyone's hearts, yet she refused, surrendering to panic. Leaving the children safely with trusted neighbors sheltering nearby, Emily saddled another horse, packed ropes, blankets, food, and lanterns. then disappeared bravely into the blinding white wilderness, despite desperate warnings from experienced ranchers. Hours passed before Emily discovered broken branches leading toward a frozen creek. Following scattered hoofprints nearly hidden beneath drifting snow, she found Jacob injured beside his exhausted horse. His hands had become dangerously numb, and he struggled to remain conscious. Emily immediately wrapped him warmly, built temporary shelter, and started a small protective fire against impossible odds. Knowing rescue would never arrive before nightfall, Emily tied Jacob securely onto a sturdy sled pulled behind her determined horse. Battling fierce winds, she slowly guided them through towering snowdrifts while constantly encouraging him to stay awake. Every painful mile tested her strength, courage, and unwavering determination to bring him safely back to his waiting children. When the ranch finally appeared through blowing snow, everyone rushed outside despite dangerous weather. The children embraced their injured father, while neighbors stared in amazement at Emily's extraordinary bravery. Even hardened cowboys admitted few men would have attempted such a rescue. Her courage transformed admiration into deep respect throughout the isolated frontier community almost overnight. Jacob recovered slowly over several weeks, while Emily continued managing both household and ranch responsibilities. She organized workers efficiently, balanced finances, negotiated fair livestock prices, and prevented foreclosure by making wise decisions. Everyone realized the struggling ranch survived because one determined woman refused allowing hardship to defeat people she had grown to deeply love. One peaceful evening, Jacob unfolded the faded letter Emily's sister had written before her death. Tears filled his eyes while reading the final sentence again. It simply said, "If Emily ever reaches your door, trust her heart." Looking across the warm room filled with smiling children, Jacob understood those words had saved far more than his ranch. Spring arrived with melting snow, blooming wildflowers, and healthy cattle grazing beneath brilliant blue skies. The ranch flourished stronger than ever before because every family member worked together with renewed hope. Emily no longer felt like a guest seeking shelter. She had become the heart of the household, proving that love, courage, and selfless devotion can rebuild broken families and rescue dreams even after life's darkest storms.